Good old Ethereum, man. Near the beginning of the year, ETH had become, to be honest, something of a laughingstock in the larger cryptocurrency community. Sentiment couldn't have been much lower, and we certainly kicked ETH in the balls plenty of times around here. The network is slow, the gas fees are high, the underperforming price left a lot of us damn disillusioned, okay, myself included. In fact, I exited my ETH position. I later got back in, but the brutal price action compared to Bitcoin was just shocking. Nuts. The ETH Foundation, Vitalik, for a while, they didn't really seem to care that much. Oh, they've moved since then and they've taken some big action. That's good. But here's the thing. We have reestablished a baseline of support here for ETH. The price has recovered from the sentiment lows and Vitalik is doing something. The price action since April has given me confidence that the lows are likely behind us, and now I'm seeing multiple factors converge, which are indicating that we might see an ETH price around $8,000 near the end of this year, possibly Q1 of 2026. So for today's video, let's go through some of these reasons why ETH is probably going in this direction, and I'll be selling my ETH when that happens, by the way. So let's begin with the technicals. I've got two for you. The first are Ethereum's Fibonacci extension levels for the cycle. Now, for context, when we draw the Fibonacci extension from the top of the 2018 cycle to the 2019 lows, we can see that ETH's price in 2021 broke well above the 2.618 Fibonacci level. Now, drawing a Fib extension in the same manner from Ethereum's 2021 price peak to the 2022 bottom puts our current 1.618 Fibonacci projection at $7,300 and the 2.618 at $11,200. So when we account for perhaps some kind of diminishing returns as perhaps a more realistic scenario that ETH hits the 1.618 level at around 7.3K this cycle instead of the 2.618 level, although that may happen too. Now, what's interesting is that my projection, my second technical projection, overlaps very nicely with the 1.618 Fibonacci projection, and that's the price target on this massive symmetrical triangle that ETH currently finds itself in. So check this out. Since late 2021 until now, Ethereum has been in this huge triangle consolidation pattern. On the support side, price is getting pushed up while there's some descending resistance overhead. Now, assuming, and it's ETH by the way, so you never know, but assuming that price breaks out of this triangle to the upside, which I think ETH will eventually do, we have all these treasury companies and stuff like that, and Wall Street's been buying, et cetera, et cetera. So the price target comes in at, well, actually more on that in a second. Look, if you're serious about trading, then don't sleep on this crazy deal right now from FEMX. They're offering VIP level 2 exclusively using my link right down below. By the way, it's available to anyone, anywhere. That's you. Using that link down below, you're going to cut your spot trading maker fees by 50%, your futures maker fees by 40%. That's the money straight back in your pocket. If you're a big trader, you trade a lot, you know exactly what that means. And you're also going to end up with $30,000 in trading and deposit bonuses. One of the best deals in crypto right now. So you can trade at deep liquidity, top security, no limits, only on FEMX. Check it out. Link down below. You can trade all the big coins, guys. Go check it. So price target, $7,900. So we get this target technically by measuring the height of the triangle and then projecting that measurement from where we think the price might break out on the triangle to the upside. And you can see that I've done that here. So assuming that the price breaks out late this year, the price target comes in just a little under $8,000. So if we overlay our triangle price projection with our Fibonacci extension, you can see that we're getting overlap between the two price targets, basically between $7,300 to $8,000. What's interesting though is that 2.618 line over $11,000. Maybe that gets hit if we have this extended cycle. It goes for longer than anyone predicts. Okay, so what about the options markets? What are they predicting right now? What are they saying about $8,000 Ethereum in 2025? So turning over to Polymarket first, you can see that the betting crowd are currently estimating there's about a 7% chance that Ethereum will hit $8,000 in 2025. Then if we turn to Deribit, you can see that there's 0.03 delta for ETH call options at the December 2025 expiry for strike prices at $8,000. This basically means that the options market estimates there's about a 3% chance that ETH hits $8,000 by December. But so far out, these prediction markets, you know, they tend to react a bit late to things, so it's not a perfect measurement, but it is interesting to see that generally the market's not really giving it a great chance. Polymarket saying there's just a 7% chance, the options market saying there's a 3% chance.
What do you think the chances are of a guy like you and a girl like me ending up together?
My point here is to show that the collective wisdom of the market is telling us that an $8,000 Ethereum it's not super realistic by the end of the year. Less than perhaps 1%. Sure, that's unrealistic, but a 3 to 7% chance, well, statistical realm of something actually happening, right? Now, look, my next reason why we could see an $8,000 Ethereum this year or sometime early in 2026, all the bullish on-chain metrics right now. Let's just whip through a few of these so you can kind of understand the big picture behind ETH right now. So first, ETH whales have been loading up since about June 10th, which is pretty bullish. Second, the total amount of ETH on exchanges continues to decrease. Very bullish. Third, the total balance of ETH in accumulation addresses, which are basically defined as long-term holders right now, is going basically parabolic. Ultra bullish as well. And as a cherry on top, we are getting a really nice increase in the total amount of transactions on the network ever since the Pectra upgrade. People are coming back and using ETH again. That usually corresponds with a significant price increase in Ethereum coming. Some sprinkles to add on top here. We also have a record high of ETH staked in the staking address. So should we be seeing that increase play out in the market soon? Maybe. Look, I think all these on-chain metrics support an 8K price target this year. Prediction markets tend to be behind the curve on things so far out. Now, moving on to my final reason for today of the narratives. We discussed this last week, but I'm repeating it again because the Genius Act is about to get signed into law. So about 2 weeks ago, the US Senate passed the Genius bill, which is a stablecoin bill, which primarily benefits blockchains that have lots of stablecoins on them. Ethereum, Solana. President Trump will sign it into law, of course, because let's be honest, the US needs stablecoin issuers like Tether and Circle to buy up lots of US debt, and they extend the dominance of US dollar decades out into the future. Now, projections are the Genius Act is going to expand the stablecoin market from hundreds of billions to literally trillions. It's not just me saying that, it's the damn Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent. All these stablecoins will be blockchain rails to run on. Ethereum is the prime candidate to take on a lot of that business. Now, the second big narrative I'm seeing is the emergence of public companies that are holding ETH on their balance sheets. Okay, by the way, for full disclosure, I own one of these. I own SharpLink Gaming, which is SBET, which is the one that is backed by Joe Lubin, the founder of Consensus. But this past Monday, news broke that BitMine had raised $250 million to establish their own Ethereum treasury strategy, along with bringing Wall Street legend Tom Lee onto the company's board. BitMine's stock went up like 600% the day after the news broke. Crazy stuff. Now, BitMine following the footsteps of SharpLink Gaming, which has already established an ETH treasury with about $500 million worth of ETH approximately. So look, my point here, guys, is we might be on the cusp of seeing some real demand come in, a whole slew of companies adopting ETH as a treasury asset in an attempt to both differentiate themselves from the much larger and better funded group of Bitcoin treasury companies, of which MicroStrategy obviously the most famous of, but also to try to get some of that stock appreciation, as what tends to happen to companies when they make these types of moves. They pump like crazy, man. And at the end of the day, of course, when companies are buying Ethereum, it dries up the overall supply and it pushes strong spot demand for more ETH, often in the hundreds of millions to billions of amounts bought at a time. So to conclude, I do think that an $8,000 ETH is something we might see this year. We've got some interesting technicals that do support this claim. The predictions markets are signaling that, I mean, technically it's possible. They're not super bullish on it, but you know, let ETH break out to an all-time high and those prediction markets will suddenly say, 8K ETH's coming soon, baby. We got a lot of bullish on-chain metrics and emerging narratives too, like the treasury companies. So if Bitcoin does what I think it will do, go to 150K, then buckle your seatbelts because Ethereum might just have a whole lot more upside to go from here, especially compared to Bitcoin. Thanks for watching.